Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ChatDPS. Nick has bailed out on us today, so it's just myself and the two Adams to take you through another round of topical stories from the cybersecurity space. So today we're going to talk about Horizon 2, Horizon 1 and Horizon 2. What's that all about? What does it mean? Australian-focused cybersecurity strategy stuff. And then we'll talk a little bit about the proposed acquisition of Dragos by Accenture and have a little bit of a spin on that from an industry perspective. And we'll end today talking about Fable 5 and our experiences of using Fable, some of the limitations around that. So let's crack on and talk about Horizon. So just bear with me. So this came out a couple of weeks ago, actually, but with other things going on, we haven't got to this one yet. But basically, there's consultation going on at the moment around what's Horizon 2. And for those of you who are wondering what Horizon 1 was, so that was a big announcement a couple of years ago where the Australian federal government set out its strategy to uplift cybersecurity across Australia in various different ways. They talked about 6 shields, and I'll just quickly run through those. So the first one was
Oh, was
strong
that already
businesses.
2 years ago?
Yeah, there you
Jesus.
go. Where did
That
time
went
go?
fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Insert the Matt Damon meme from Saving Private Ryan as we age very quickly. So the first shield is strong businesses and citizens. Is all about uplifting awareness and uplifting, I guess, the floor, as it were. So getting small businesses and medium-sized businesses up to scratch. The second one was safe technology. So through the Standalone Cybersecurity Act, there was some laws put in place around making sure certain consumer devices were secure by design. Interesting to know how that goes. Don't really have any word on that. The third shield was about world-class threat sharing and blocking. So they really wanted to get organizations together to share intelligence. I know there's been some struggles there, but anyway, we can
I
talk
didn't
about some
realize
of
it
this
meant
stuff.
us being blocked, but anyway.
Yeah, there's a bit of that as well. Shield 4 was protected critical infrastructure. So again, we can sort of go on about the merits of that, but they've certainly been trying to, I guess, uplift SOCI. We've had the CERMP, the risk management plan, has been going around. So they've obviously been making progress there, but there's probably some way to go. Shield 5 was sovereign capabilities. That's one we've been talking about quite a bit. Shield 6 was a resilient region. So there has been some announcements, particularly between Australian government and some of the Pacific Islands. So they've certainly been doing some work in that. So that's basically Horizon 1. And then Horizon 2, which is basically what's going to happen over the next couple of years, if I bring that one up. So again, and we'll try and be objective about some of these statements. But 6 key actions under Horizon 2: empower our workers as our first line of cyber defense. That's building our human firewall. So we can talk about that in a sec. The second one was making it easier for small and medium businesses to strengthen cybersecurity. And so this talks about potentially bringing in a standard which these businesses can be accredited to.
What were you going to call that one, Robert? You're going to trademark it. Come on.
To the super duper 4. Yeah, something like that.
We're down with that. If anyone's after consultation, we're available.
Yeah, we're gonna trademark that one. Next one was strengthen communities' cyber resilience. This is all about public awareness messaging. The next one was disrupt and deter cyber threat actors to protect Australians from cyber crime. So this is all about law enforcement capabilities. Goodness knows where that goes, if that's going to be like backdoors and sharing of information. I don't even want to sort of think about how that might go. But anyway, we'll see how that shapes up. Next one is secure identities and provide better support to victims of cybercrime. So this is, again, this could go anywhere, but digital ID, national ID cards, all that kind of stuff, that's got all sorts of thorns on it. And then the last one is drive productivity for Australian businesses. And this is all about, and we were talking about this before, apparently this is going to be about harmonizing and streamlining regulation and trying to reduce the compliance burden. So good luck with that. I mean, we just look at some of these things and go, hey, where's tranche 2 of the Privacy Act, aside from anything else, but good luck with consolidating and streamlining.
For that. It's all right.
Yeah.
40. Is it 40 years?
Nearly 40 years, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
38,
so that's what's going on. One of the things what kind of struck me, aside from all of this detail, was they did a poll when they were doing Horizon 1, and to be honest, the responses were a little bit mid, shall we say, from industry in terms of, I don't think Australia's as doing as well as it should be doing. And, the awareness around this is probably not as great as it should be. But look, from a federal government point of view, Horizon 1 job complete. They had like 60 odd actions. Everything's in place. Everything is firing on all cylinders, apparently. But I thought I'd just throw it over to maybe start with Adam Cunningham and we'll go to Adam Green and just get maybe an industry perspective on how you think Horizon 1 is going, and are you looking forward to Horizon 2?
So we talk about Horizon 1 to start with. So Horizon 1, even though there was 20 actions and like 60 initiatives, there was like 3 actual initiatives that were delivered in Horizon 1. The first one was a ransomware playbook, which was like, call somebody, never pay ransom. It didn't go very deep from that.
But we're starting from a fairly low base, so that was actually an uplift on where we were at. So
look, they also delivered a cyber health check tool, which was a tool that you could use, basically a questionnaire assessment that you could use to see if you have controls that will work to give you just a baseline of where you're at, which was okay. And they also brought out a small business cyber resilience service. This was so outside of the jokes, this was delivered through ID Care, I think, and I've actually known some business owners that have utilized it, and it was really handy for them. So thumbs up to the government for job well done on that initiative. But the strike rate of 60 initiatives and 3 delivered is, I'm sure the other ones got delivered. They were just not as big as these. But yeah,
from the government's perspective, they delivered all of those initiatives under Horizon 1. So everything was successfully implemented. So, who knows?
Interesting. So I'm just bringing up the site now to see the 60 initiatives.
Yeah, and while you do that, Adam Green, any thoughts?
So I will say Shield 4 and Shield 5. So they were about, what was Shield 4 and Shield 5 again?
Hang on a sec.
Because one was about sovereign capability.
Yeah.
And the other one was, I remember these things until we sit here and talk about them. And there's a reason why I picked those 2 in particular.
We can edit this out in post. So Shield 1 is strong business and citizens. Shield 2 is safe technology. 3 is world-class sharing. 4 is protected critical infrastructure. Yes. 5 is sovereign capability. Yeah.
Yes. So through Department of Homeland Affairs, they actually did put their money where their mouth is, and CIISAC, so Critical Infrastructure, Information Sharing and Analysis Center. And this isn't a shameless plug, but I am the national ambassador for CIISAC. And so CIISAC is a sovereign capability that was stood up, and then Department of Homeland Affairs did put up $6.4 million for a healthcare focused, federally funded ISAC. So that's called the Health Cyber Sharing Network. And that was for a 3-year pilot so that there was information sharing across all of healthcare. And they actually made that capability, which is a membership-based capability with a cost associated with it, they made that free for the first year for any healthcare providers who want to join. And that's all about community-based or member-based collaboration around information sharing and cybersecurity awareness and protection. And there's a very, very capable National Intelligence Office that backs all of that. And from speaking with the members, it's the fastest intelligence and the most accurate intelligence that they get on the ground day to day. So I think that side of it was actually executed exceptionally well. I think getting the message out there is a challenge because you've only got so many boots on the ground to be able to spread that message. But that's what I'll say about that, because I actually have a fair bit of information around that, and
that's good.
Got to sit with Lieutenant General Claire O'Neill and talk about that as well and understand where they came from with it. So that side, I feel they did very well, and it continues to grow and it continues to enhance as well.
Very good. Adam Cunningham, any final words before we move on to the...
Just ISAC, use your big boy words for the people out there.
Yeah, I said critical infrastructure, and so CI is critical infrastructure, ISAC is Information Sharing and Analysis Center. So
there you go.
Actually taking the threat intelligence and making it meaningful and telling you what the next steps are and how to protect yourself in the meantime while you wait for something to come out. So if you don't already have CI ISAC on your radar, it's worth looking at, because there's For small to medium enterprises, a lot of them can actually become members at no cost. And it is phenomenal how quickly I can stay on top of things just because of the feed I get as the ambassador.
That's great. That's great. Adam Cunningham, any final words? You were just looking something up on Horizon 1 before we move on to the next story?
So I actually think the process they used was really good. They did a lot of co-design workshops and roundtables. I think from Adam's point before, just getting that out there to get as many people in as possible wasn't out there. There wasn't a lot of press on it, where there could have been a lot more press on it, and therefore it could have been pushed out a lot better than it was. But overall, I've got to say the things they did deliver for the most part had impacts for the people they were meant to have impact for. So it's good. Horizon 2 will be interesting to see if they can deliver on the next 3 years. The government hasn't been great at managing workloads to timeframes, so it'll be good to see how they go with this one.
And that's not just
Absolutely.
across security. It's like it's a systemic issue with the
Very true.
mechanisms of government,
Very
right?
true.
So, but I think consistency of people in seats is probably one thing that we really struggle with around this stuff, because it was on last week's podcast that I learned that, because we've been focusing on a bunch of other things, that we now have a new minister for cyber. So that that
Tony
kind of
Burke.
stuff, even that's not very well publicized and communicated with society. But I think back to the point Adam made about ID care. I think ID care made some really meaningful impact around not just small businesses, but also people. And if anyone knew to contact ID care, it was great. But speaking with the team at ID care, the government did a really good job of telling people to go to ID care, but they didn't do a very good job of then funding their ability to take that many calls. And, we saw record numbers of reports. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword there.
But anyway, we managed to find some positives in the story, so that's good. So let's leave Horizon 2 behind and let's talk about Accenture and Dragos. Who wants to take this one?
Start with, we've all worked in big businesses and we've seen how well some of these big acquisitions get integrated. I think that if you look at what Dragos has as a capability, and for those unaware, Dragos is an operational technology specific security provider. They're actually very big in the medical device security space. Excellent capability. They are being acquired reportedly, and the reports come directly from some of Accenture's newsrooms themselves, reportedly over $4 billion, which equates to around 20x their revenue from what we can see, which is interesting. And it's interesting to see Accenture moving down that like a full cybersecurity artillery, where recently they acquired CyberCX for an astronomical amount. Now looking at nearly 4 times that amount to acquire a vendor. I guess the good news is for their competitors like Forescout and Clarity, it might take them off their competitive battlefield for a little bit while they work out their integration, or is Accenture going to leave them alone? It's time will tell, but it is an interesting acquisition on the surface. Adam, do you have any more to say about why you think that might have been a maneuver?
So Accenture is trying to knock a couple of the big four off the perch. And recently, with an awful lot of shrinkage in the big four, KPMG and the likes have lost a lot of capability. Accenture is buying up global capability to become a leader in these spaces, to then become, the one of the top 2 in the top 4 and kick one of the original ones off the list. I think this is a really good buy for them if they can keep the magic of Dragos alive. So they have a lot of passionate people that are very passionate about this space, that are very knowledgeable about this space, and have kind of led the conversations over the last 10 years, 8 years. So if they can manage to keep that going and not turn it into a partner scum capability set, then they'll do really, really well. But the partner infrastructure, this is my only concern for them, is the fact that the partnerships model can hurt them when it comes to that, because you get partners that are interested in more sales and less quality. In some cases, you got partners that are interested in more quality. So you just got to make sure that you manage that well. So we'll see in the future.
And when we
as to
say
how that goes.
partners, we don't mean like the system integrators that people are used to talking to Dragos through. So,
No,
and I agree with you. I
We,
think,
we mean the potential Ponzi scheme of,
yeah,
definitely not a Ponzi scheme of partnership businesses.
yeah. But I agree with you. I think Dragos has been not just as a vendor, being great in the operational technology and industrial control space, but they do have some exceptionally good people who are extremely knowledgeable in the space. And there's a lot of people I've worked with in the past, a lot of people I like working with in the past as a system integrator working with them. So I think if Accenture does a good job of leaving them kind of to their own devices and feeds off the branding and the headwinds the tailwinds they have of all these industrial controls and OT attacks, then it could go really well for everyone. So hopefully they get left to do what they do really well, and Accenture actually just allows them leverage so they can do even better, because I think that capability needs, and I think anyone who follows anything we say on this podcast or anything any of us say on LinkedIn, we're all in fierce agreement that the industrial space requires more focus around security. So with the right leverage, it could be a very good move.
I'm worried it'll go the route of Snort with Cisco. I'm still sore about
Sorry,
how much
what's
Snort?
Snort?
That was an intrusion detection system, which was amazing.
Exactly, it was.
That was bought by Cisco and destroyed. So I'm still dirty about that.
It was bought. It wasn't bought. It was hidden away by Cisco. So it just disappeared off the face of the earth. Yeah. No, we could rattle off probably 20 exceptional organizations that have fallen victim to an acquisition. I mean, Christ, I used to work at a 3-letter acronym vendor that sounds like that we used to call "I've been moved" or "idiots become managers," and we saw a lot of really good organizations disappear. So hopefully this doesn't happen with Dragos, because I think we have a lot of respect for the people and the business.
Yeah. All right. Fingers crossed for Dragos. All right. Let's go on to the final story for today, which is Fable 5. So maybe start with Adam Green, because I think you've been playing around with Fable 5 a little bit.
Yeah. So I think Adam Cunningham had mentioned in another chat that we're all having that it was like a dog had with a cone on its head after it got an operation, so it can't lick itself. So I was like, "What's Adam talking about?" And then I said the word cybersecurity in one of my requests, and it instantly flashed up I'm going to read it because I'm not going to do a very good. I'm going to butcher their response to me. But it said, Fable safeguards flagged this message. The safeguards are intentionally broad right now and may flag safe and routine coding, cybersecurity, or biology work. These measures let us bring you Mythos-level capabilities sooner, and we are working to refine them. So, at the moment, it feels like if you say anything cybersecurity, gallbladder, or can you check this legal document, it'll bump you back to, what's it called? Opus 4.8? Is that the one? Yeah. So it'll bump you back. Unfortunately, for anything I do use it for at the moment, which is a lot of my executive assistant, and when I do a weekly threat update, I get it to help me do that. Everything says cybersecurity in it. So right now, I'm at least preserving my tokens and keeping my bill lower than the average person who's trying to play around with Fable 5 right now. But it is interesting. So anyway, the message says anything cybersecurity, biology, and one other thing. So it's challenging at the moment because everything I use Fable 5 for. I'll always have cybersecurity in it. So what I'm doing really well right now is preserving my tokens, and I'm saving on my Claude bill because I'm not allowed to use Fable 5 right now. It keeps kicking me out. But Adam, you've been having a play as well, haven't you?
Yeah, look, Fable 5 is fantastic at burning tokens. It's very efficient at burning tokens.
Allegedly.
I will say, for defensive cybersecurity stuff, it can indeed run. and does work quite well. For those of us who have been in the industry for a long time, there is some things in your Claude.md that you should remove because it will automatically flag, and then you can say good morning Claude and it'll give you that error message you were just speaking about. So
Yeah.
so you should absolutely remove those from there. You can find that on the interwebs pretty easily at the moment, I think. But yeah, so if you are consistently doing things like I have a second brain and to remember everything, coming across 50 different software businesses, and I've had to work a lot to get back to using it. I will say though, so the quality of outcomes in design and programming are noticeably different. But if you're using it from a perspective of writing, so you write something and you wanted to change the tone and set it up and polish it a little bit for you to finish editing afterwards, I haven't found a difference between it and Opus other than copious amounts of tokens being burnt. Like,
Yeah.
like Snoop Dogg at a recording studio level of burning tokens.
Yep.
So
Speaking of Snoop Dogg, someone sent me an Iron Man redo, and it was Iron Cuz, and it was
yeah, with Snoop,
excellent, and
yeah.
it was excellent. I'm like, oh, this is the stuff we can expect from Fable 5. I'm on board.
Okay. So given the limitations with Fable 5, even though it sounds like there might be some workarounds, does that mean that, we're better off going to other frontier models, or we should be looking for like a workaround? What's the best way of, using these frontier models on the cybersecurity front?
It depends. So if we're using it from a work perspective, it depends on the poison that you've picked. So each business has something that they have favored, whether it's Google or it's OpenAI or Claude or anything else. If it's to do with research from a home perspective, I don't believe in just having one. And pulling out research is something we didn't speak about. Fable 5 as a research module is really good. You can play devil's advocate with it and get some really great fact-checked real answers, which is quite nice as opposed to just, random person on Reddit said this 6 years ago and now it's fact. So there are a lot of things that are really, really good. I think over the next 4 weeks to 8 weeks, you'll see them all do the same leaping again.
Yeah.
So it's really up
Hey,
to whatever your poison is.
Adam, have you noticed this? In the last couple of weeks, it has become mothering. Let me explain. So before, I could do whatever I want and it'd come back and it'd help me. But I've set up a second brain, and in my second brain, I'm like, I need you to save me from myself from overcommitting on certain work. The other day, I'm like, right, I want to do this. I want to make an executive assistant agent. And let's walk through making an executive assistant agent. And it came back and I went, I'm going to stop you right there, Adam. You're overcommitting. You've got this task and you've got that, and you're going to Papua New Guinea next week and no, I'm not helping you. And I was like, no, this is to make my job easier so I can do things on the fly. And I already know exactly what I want. Here's what I want. And I listed it out and it just went, no, I'm not helping you till you get back from Papua New Guinea. And it shut me out. It wouldn't do it. And then it told me it was too late and I had to go to bed.
It's fantastic.
I was like, are you going to make my warm milk for me? Like, what the? It seriously
In
told me
fairness,
it's too late. Go to bed. Sign off.
I've made mine be my worst critic, so it does like call me an idiot and things like that as well. So I don't like the whole super helpful thing where it tells you you're amazing and that's a great idea. I would much rather it be like, Adam, you're being a moron. Please stop.
Dude, we're using different models. I never get told I'm great or amazing. Mine literally.
You gotta set it up, man.
Okay. No, mine keeps telling me off. I must have set mine up to be a prick because it's just constantly telling me off. But yeah, they're telling me to go to bed. I was like, are you serious?
We're losing it again.
And then I was watching.
As soon as he says something bad about these frontier models, it shuts down
it's gone. Yeah.
Shuts down his internet.
Am I out again?
I love this. This is great. So poor Adam. But yes, so apparently they're vindictive too. So
am I back?
All right. Any last words, Adam Cunningham, and then we'll wrap this one up.
No, thank you everyone for your time with us this week. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Okay. We'll leave it there. Thanks, guys. See you next time.